Hello, hello, beautiful, gorgeous angels. I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube. I use spirit, my intuition, the tarot to communicate energy frequencies to you guys. Most amazing, beautiful viewers. I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm so grateful to be doing your reading again if you are returning. So we're doing a pick a card reading, and we're looking at the miracle that's about to unfold or going on around you. And Spirit will be guiding you through this beautiful miracle and maybe give you a whole new perspective in regards to whatever it is going on in your world. Okay, so let's see what we see together. This is a pick a card reading, so for those of you guys who are new to pick a cards, you will be intuitively called to one of these three options. There's no right or wrong. If you don't resonate with the energy and the messaging in that pick, you can bounce out of there. No need to stick around. Okay, so I will reveal these shortly. Whichever one pulls to you will most likely have the energy of your frequency messaging that you're needing to hear. And it's absolutely fine to be pulled to multiple cards, could be multiple aspects or energy around you from individuals, circumstances, or situations needing to come through with a different sort of aspect or perspective, okay? But absolutely okay to not resonate with any of these cards or the messaging that pulls through, because this is specific to the collective in which I'm tapped into here. Okay, whoever needs to hear this, it's messaging pulling through from Spirit specifically for you and the energy frequency that you're tapped into with that collective. Okay, so don't force any of the specific messages to fit. It is the general overall energy in that pile that should be matching the frequency of your situation or your circumstance, or whatever life story you have going on. Okay, so blessed angels, I will reveal these shortly. Option 1, 2, 3. If at any point you're called to these cards, you can select from the timestamp, which I will put in the description box and in the pinned comment below. This will give you an opportunity to really develop your intuition and work with whatever you see, feel, hear to determine whether the messaging resonates for you. Okay, so you have an opportunity throughout the card layout to do this. If you have a developed intuition and you want to go straight away to the channeling, you could click on the main reading for these options and do that as well. Okay, whatever you feel comfortable with. So, beautiful angels, let's take a look at this miracle that's unfolding in your life right now. I'm so grateful to be a part of this journey with you guys. Let's take a look. Option 1, grounding and anchoring. Stay grounded. Card 39. All right, option number 2, we have card number 1 with ancient sound frequencies. Rebalance energy, frequency, and vibration. Wow. I have the Eye of Ra. Wow, okay. Option number 2, we have the Fruit of Life with card number 14, spheres of knowledge. Okay, very different frequencies of energy pulling through all three of these. Let's pull a charm for each of these. See what we get for option 1. You guys got 2 charms. You have I love my cat. I was about to say something else here. Cat face. And then we have this shooting star. I love my cat and a shooting star. Interesting. Okay. And then for option number 2, we also got 2 charms. We have the Scales of Justice and we have the Leaf pulling through. Haven't seen these charms yet. All right. And option number 3, also 2 charms. We have what looks like an angel or a guardian angel and this little doggy. All right. Gorgeous that the charms came out in 2s. Okay, I will put this like this. I will leave the video running for a bit so that you guys don't get to the bar at the bottom there and need to pause. I'll let it run. And your first sort of inkling will most likely be your intuition. Okay, so sit with that and I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, gorgeous angels, pile one. I love, love, love you guys so, so much. And today's reading, we're looking at a miracle going on, unfolding in your world, and maybe give you a different perspective or a way to connect with this beautiful blessing, a miracle going on. So what do we have? You guys picked grounding, anchoring, staying grounded. I love my cat and the shooting star. Card 39. I just said that. So 39 is number 11. Okay, 11 is a master number. It's divine inspiration, all about synchronicities, the encouragement to keep going. And what I'm really getting from this is sort of the beginning of a journey here that kind of makes us lose reality in some way, because we might be fascinated in spiritual experiences or concepts. So maybe you're saying, well, no, I'm not at the early stages. I've been on this for quite some time. But time, when we're talking about linear time, days, weeks, months, isn't really the angle in which this message is coming through. It's early in the journey, meaning we're still an infant or a baby in learning about spirituality here. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you've been on it for, in this human world, years and years, but it's an early stage of understanding. So I'm really getting the more I know. And you guys who have been around in the 80s might recognize that the more I know symbol from the star and the rainbow. So I feel like there's this chase or pursue of knowledge or spiritual insight, and it's great if we're pursuing more knowledge and spiritual information. I feel like there's something you're trying to reach in a way of a goal or an outcome. So we might be driven by an outcome focus here, okay? And nothing wrong with being driven by an outcome focus. We all need our catalyst to get us going. But I feel like there's a very specific message here in regards to how we're seeing ourselves and how we connect to spirituality in this journey. Seeking knowledge, or are we inner experiencing life as a being in order for us to retain and experience information through us as a knowing, which then changes our life significantly. And so I feel there is a need to get grounded, because I feel like we are in these high level spiritual concepts and potentially a lot of information that we have floating around in our mind or in our experience. And so we're turning over a lot of these spiritual terms or our spiritual identity, and so there's this need to know more, to seek more, to attain more, so that we can get closer to something. That something potentially is nothing that we need to chase. It might be something that is already existing. Okay, so I love my cat. I feel like this is tying back to the staying grounded, and we are so in the spiritual concepts and understanding, and it could be in our mind or in our spirit body. We're very removed from the 3D plane, and so being able to pet the cat or put our feet on the ground, it really ties us back to the 3D body, staying grounded, doing like 3D exercises, such as when we meditate, grounding ourselves, seeing roots and that sort of thing. So there could be practical aspects of your everyday that can help with this grounding. Okay, so this is inferring a cat, but maybe it's just petting your pet or being aware of nature, that's going on around you from just a being state, rather than interpreting or trying to dissect or analyze or chase the synchronicity or see something beyond what it is that's there, and being open for it to morph in front of you in its truest state. So let's peel this back a little bit more here, okay? But that's coming through very clear. Let's see what with the card layout, what it is that this miracle blessing is showing. And this will give you a chance to tap into your intuition, which you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this messaging is right for you. If you want to go straight away to the reading, you can click on the main reading. So let's see, we have American mink, And this says, equipped with semi-webbed feet. This opportunistic predator hunts both on land and in water, delighting in small rodents or birds, but also frogs, fish, or crayfish. Once hunted and bred for its fur, it was introduced into Europe, where its proliferation has become a threat to the European mink. American mink. Gestation time 42 days. Longevity 9.5 years. Okay, let's keep going. We have the walrus here. Longevity 40 years. It says this large marine mammal takes dives up to 80 meters, which is 262 feet deep, dives up to 80 meters deep, lasting 10 to 30 minutes to catch crabs, shrimp, and mollusks. Between fishing trips, it enjoys sunbathing on ice blocks drifting around the Arctic. Its muzzle, covered with thick hair, bears long ivory tusks that can grow up to a meter, 3.3 feet long. Interesting. So we have an American mink, which is on land and water, and a walrus, which dives in the water but also can go on land. So water could certainly be symbolizing the emotions, and then the land is kind of taking it back to grounding. Like, how far into the emotions are we submerging, and how long are we on land, and how long are we in the water for? Okay, 3 of spades, which is the 3 swords energy. It says the edible wilderness, a responsible sustainability. So this is the edible wilderness playing cards. And this is talking about the goal of edible wilderness, surviving off the land. Again, with land here, it's staying grounded with the things that are there. It talks about the plants and the animals. So nature, as it's intended to live through in the 3D body. So lots of 3D connecting here. So maybe we're lost in 3D space for some time, which is fine. Joy. Look at this rainbow again. So rainbows talk about a change of perspective, but also hope. Hope. So this says joy, and that's the sun energy, which is bliss, contentment, enlightenment. Beautiful. Let's keep going. We have practice. Another 3 here. 3s are all about growth and relationships, the initial success. It's also hangman energy, which I'm getting from the rainbow, change in perspective, and there's attempts here. Okay, we have number 60 or number 6, watchers, transpersonal. So 6 is lovers. It's about a choice, a destined path, destined partner, destined purpose, transpersonal. Watchers. Watchers could be an observer here. So we have E10 with seduction. And this is like equivalent to the devil card in the tarot, although it's only talking about the seduction piece. So maybe we're pulled by the idea of something. The more we know, and it keeps us on this path. Capricorn energy, Leo energy, Pisces energy with the rainbow and hangman energy I was feeling. So we have flourish, tree energy, certainly about getting grounded, getting stable. And we got 3 tree cards, and flourish could be us growing to our full capacity, or us having growth. And 3 is all about growth. So we have second chakra with the sacral. So the sacral chakra is all about our sense of our trust and our ability to connect with our emotions and identify with that piece of self that has that can trust, that can lean on itself. Okay, and then we have be open. Let's look at the language of this tree. So we see very rooted trees, and we see this tree kind of being blown, but it's still grounded here. Be open. Okay, and we have the hibiscus, sorry. It says beauty and happiness. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Joy. Beauty and happiness. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Okay. And then we have, sorry, these cards are hard to see because of the reflection. It says siege, quiet time. Take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate, and contemplate. So this is like Virgo energy. Contemplate. Okay. And then we have, I make way for miracles. Look at that. Be open. And then we have this shooting star. And this reading is all about miracles. And I don't pick these. Okay, I just shuffle and ask Spirit, this door is open. So there's a path here to a doorway to what? We're leading to a miracle here. The door is open. Okay, changes. Wow, number 10. 10 is about completion and ends of cycles, also transformation. And we have artist. Engaging in artistic activities is beneficial to your career and every other area of your life. So when we tap into this artist energy, we might be channeling source to become creative and inspired. But we're bringing into the manifest, which is the 3D. We're bringing from the macro into the micro, however we do. Whether we write a song or write a book or paint a picture or connect to our imagination in order to manifest here. Mirror, truth revealed. Oh my goodness. And look at her third eye is illuminating. So the third eye could be seeing into another dimension here. Okay, like past the 3D body, we're tapped into the subtle body or the causal body, which is not manifested here, but it was certainly equally as real and felt on a psychic intuitive level. The mirror, we're projecting out there what we're seeing. We have the mugwort, rites of passage. Look at that. Make way for your miracles. Rites of passage. Okay, and we have transformation, which we definitely felt with number 10. So this is card 13, which is equivalent to the death card in the tarot, which is all about transformation, massive transformation, leaving behind old ways of being potentially that are no longer serve us, or in the 3D, certain things that no longer fulfill us or we're no longer attached or identified with, will allow for the transformation of self. Okay, we have success, tiger energy, beautiful. Number 6. 6 was coming through with the lovers. Now this one's coming through with the 6 wands energy, which is a victory. But it's also about potentially how we're perceived or how others might be perceiving us or how we want to be perceived by others. Okay, in order to identify what success looks like or what it doesn't based on a belief or an understanding. Okay, might be transforming what that looks like here. And we have suppression, so it could be devil energy, although this one was talking about seduction, and I felt more of an energy that was pulling at you, like a desire. Here I feel like it is more of a vacuum energy with something being pulled in or pushed down. So suppression, and we have second chakra. So if we suppress emotions or if we suppress certain things, it could create blocks in the second chakra. Okay, 10 again. So we have 2 10s here. So that is also the number 11, which we were really pulling through at the beginning here. Why were we pulling 11 here, you guys? I don't know if I read this as 11, but I feel like I was saying there was beginning stages. Maybe I read this as 11. But either way, the more we know, I felt like it was a chase for the beginning of something here. Something's massively transforming. And so we might be very connected to sign, symbol, synchronicities and guided towards this path. Well, that's already sort of open. There's no need to do much of anything. We're being pulled. But what are we still suppressing here? Okay. And then we have consciousness. Wow. So consciousness is, but the more space and the more we work with our consciousness in a way that allows it to be unencumbered by the things that weigh it down or cloud it, the more awareness we have of this consciousness, a greater capacity for consciousness, which means more spiritual integration of concepts and experience. Wow, okay, that's pretty deep. And so we have emerging into grace. I open my soul to grace. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? Here she's asleep, emerging into grace. Okay, and then we have the squirrel will advise you to gather and provision. So squirrels are interesting, fun characters if you watch them, because they have a way of looking like they're having a lot of fun, but at the same time they might be gathering food and preparing and doing what they need to do. So it's how they go about this process that's quite fascinating, you know. Doesn't look mundane, it looks fun. They could play with each other, but they're still sort of getting things done here. Okay, so let me take a look at this energy here. I want to make sure we're all in frame. Yeah, that looks okay. Let me sit here with this and then we'll start to channel. You guys can click straight away on the reading, okay? This might take a little bit here. I'm a little bit discombobulated energetically. Okay, I don't think we need any tarot. If we do, I'll pull a tarot, you guys. Beautiful. So pile 1. I think I might have said this was number 11 for a very specific reason. We had 10 10s coming out, which was also giving me that 11, and that 11 was giving me the master number of being sort of early on in a journey. Now I say early, not using timeline, linear fashion. I'm using early on the journey because there's still more to sort of unfold here, more spiritual knowledge, if you will. Okay, so I'm going to try to break this message down here in a way that we can follow along. So I feel like the miracle here is this experience that you're having. Okay, but when we sort of don't understand what's going on, okay, we don't understand what's going on until maybe we, in hindsight, can see the big picture. Then we can connect to those parts that are maybe mysteries as it's unfolding. So I'll give an analogy or an example of, like, let's say we watch a movie and there's lots sort of going on. And so there might be very significant things that are happening in that movie that are giving us cues or clues. But if we aren't connected to those things or intake what it is we're experiencing in its full sort of depth, we move on sort of to the next thing. And, you know, in the movie, then we sort of get to the ending, and then we start to understand how important and how significant a lot of those pointers in that movie would have identified the real killer, or the real experience, or the understanding at that point in time. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that there's a journey unfolding here of your spirituality, and there's no doubt about it. Okay, and I feel like we're attaching to an understanding of this journey in a way that might be watering down what's going on in front of you. That is an absolute beautiful blessing here. Okay, and so just like this American mink that is posing a threat here, because it's getting a little bit sort of out of hand here, I feel like when we are in that energy, whatever energy you're encompassing, it could become a threat to the progress here of your journey. Now, everyone's journey is meant to unfold the way it does, so you're not doing anything wrong, or you're not needing really much of anything other than this communication from spirits, confirming your change, confirming this transformation. Okay, but it could take a lot longer here, and we could suffer for periods of time here when it doesn't sink in. And so we might be watching a longer movie than need be, a movie that might not ever end, because we're not connecting with those moments that the movie is unfolding in front of us until it clicks in that, ooh, that little comment from that character was, you know, an indication to me as a watcher that that was the killer, or that was the whatever, that I needed to pay attention. I was too busy on maybe, I don't know, like the end of that movie, or getting to some point in that movie that everything that was happening there was not as impactful, or I missed clues along the way. And so the best way for us to be completely experiencing this spiritual thing that no doubt you're going through, the spiritual journey, I say thing, whatever this experience, is for you to detach from any identification you might have as to what sort of journey you're on, where you're headed in the journey, what's supposed to unfold when, how it's supposed to feel, and allow it to unfold as it does. And so as we do this, we're accepting of everything as it unfolds. We're seeing it as it unfolds. We are not judging ourselves as it unfolds, or our reaction as it unfolds. But when we come from this sort of angle, we see it in its truest form. We don't project our own sort of what we think it means in that moment. So if I am now watching that movie again, and that character says or does something, but if I'm not in the projection mode, but I'm open, completely perceiving what this character is saying in that moment, I would know, bingo, right away, this character is the killer, or untrustworthy, or whatever it is that significant person in that movie was trying to convey. So relate this back to your journey. I now had an experience with this person or that person, which in your mind or in your experience, this person might be insignificant, or not a part of this journey, or not providing any sort of fruit here, you know. And the only reason this experience or this person or that understanding is taking place because we're projecting how much significance or weight that experience with that person is, you know, is providing, or is giving to our journey, or allowing us to engage in whichever way. So Spirit is really showing here that there are still blocks here. Okay, blocks that we're having to unidentify with. That's still creating suffering here. But we still are learning about how it is to ground ourselves and still balance, to work with the divine without getting pulled into, you know, this spiritual space. You know, we could get very pulled into the spiritual ego. I need to know more, learn more, become more, be more enlightened, or whatever the thing is here. And then I will reach what I want, or then I will attain the thing I want, and then I'll be free, and then I'll be whatever. And so Spirit is saying the process itself here of this beautiful experience you're having is one that requires your full awareness in the moment. And so full awareness in the moment will allow you to be grounded, and also allow you to connect to the divine when we meditate and when we have quiet time. Okay, and this might take practice to identify Am I being pulled into my spiritual mind when I'm, I don't know, like have an opportunity here to engage with this person or the situation, or cut these tomatoes, however I'm cutting these tomatoes. And so it would require you to allow yourself to observe cutting the tomatoes, or to have a full conversation here with whomever. And so I feel there's this repeat practice that Spirit's wanting you to engage with for you to reach the state of the miracle that it is I think you're chasing or wanting to see. Because I feel like for this group, you might have been on this path for some time, maybe feeling like you're not ascending, or feeling like you're experiencing the same things and it's not evolving, or you're not feeling like you're spiritually ascending, or that there's something that should be realized to you that hasn't yet come. Okay, so it's always there. Whatever it is that you're needing to connect with is there already. But in the ego mind, in the attached mind, we have an understanding of what we think we're supposed to be experiencing or seeing, that we're missing the experience altogether. Okay, and so I feel like there's a part of self here that's going to be coming through, that needs to be identified through observation. And I feel like this part of self is still weighing you down, okay? And it's a part of self here that could have been suppressed by way of pain we experience, or whatever trauma or whatever story we identified with, okay? That is giving us this understanding of what things need to look like, or what we need to look like, or what it is we need to experience, that we're still carrying. And so as long as we carry that belief or that understanding, we will perpetuate that for infinity. It doesn't matter here if we think we're being guided here by some sort of great force. The great force is already showing you what it is it needs to for you to see. You need to wake up and see it through this practice. Okay, so the joy is already there. The thing we're trying to reach is already there. We're ready to be experienced. The only thing we need to do is change the perception, how we engage with that person, that situation. And so at first we might say, okay, this makes sense. And then we have an experience with someone or something, and maybe we still feel the same. And we say, okay, well, what did this show me? Keep being present, keep being aware. And then we have more moments like this, and more moments. And so parts of the trauma suppressed self, the self that creates that identity of what success looks like, or what I should appear like, or what I'm projecting, starts to emerge and become obvious to us, that is what has been pulling us or driving us. And we no longer identify as that thing, because we're observing it, saying, well, that isn't necessarily what I believe, or that isn't necessarily what I want to attach to, or that story, or that version of me, or that thing I wasn't even aware of was kind of operating from the subconscious, and it was taking the wheel, even though I was knowing I was on some spiritual path or some spiritual understanding. I was connected with the divine at a certain level, but now my consciousness is kicking it up a level, because now it's aware of the subtle programming here that was still in play. And so the subtle programming is when we are moving along on the spiritual path with an understanding of perception here, but we're still attached to some sort of egoic belief of how we see ourselves or the environment. And so we're being asked to give grace to every situation, every experience, because there will be pain that comes through here when we actually connect to this, identifying that self has still been trying to project or put on some sort of disguise on that experience, and so that was the hijacking. That was what was keeping us in spirals. That was what wasn't allowing us to enjoy the quiet time, and then to come out and emerge and then connect with the groundedness, like I said, petting the cat, walking in nature, tapping into the 3D when we're cutting the tomatoes, or when we're doing 3D actions, to allow ourselves to be in that energy of what's happening in that moment is the most spiritual thing you could possibly do. Not connect to some greater level of consciousness out there that we think we can't be in this moment and try to attain that while we're cutting the tomatoes. There's just a need to be cutting the tomatoes for this thing to emerge. And then the thing really is your greater level of consciousness will emerge when we identify the false self, or we identify the egoic self that's been projecting, that's been pulling us through this sleepy programmed energy. That didn't realize it was cutting the tomato, didn't realize it was having a profound conversation in that moment, didn't realize that the work we were doing in that moment was actually happening, but we were too distracted with the I don't know, whatever it was here, with the maybe how many acorns were sort of buried in that hole, rather than being aware that we, the squirrel here, could be fully engaged in how we go about gathering all of those acorns, because the squirrel can go and play, and the squirrel can go and do all these things. And so the acorns are still sort of happening in the background here. Okay, and so what I mean by the acorns is your spiritual path of accumulated experience is still happening, but it stalls out here and it spirals, or it doesn't progress. The consciousness stays stagnant when we hit a roadblock of our own perception, when we are so identified with where we're at that we expect to see and live the experience to booster that self, rather than take an observer role and consistently pull ourselves back to, I am observing right now the cutting of the tomato, the conversation with this person, without any sort of judgment or understanding of who this person is in this storyline, in this sleep state that I'm in. This person could be presenting some piece of fruit that makes a big change here, but I will never be fully present and aware to see this if my understanding is guiding me somewhere else. And so there is a need to allow ourselves to connect with the 3D world more. And I feel like we could certainly be having a difficult time balancing the spiritual dreamy state, if you will, of consciousness, and then tying it back to what's going on here in the 3D world. And so I feel like there is a block here for sure. Okay, that's some part of us that's suppressed, or some part of us that's still projecting, or some part of us that's still needing this transformation, but it's not something that just sort of it can naturally occur, but it only naturally occurs when we become when we observe it. There's nothing really to do outside of awareness itself. And so if we're never aware, we stay sort of trapped. Okay, and so I don't know, I feel like maybe a lot of you guys might escape through some sort of imagination space here, which is fine. But then there is this grounding it in the reality of the 3D world, okay, that has to sort of bring from the macro into the microcosm of what we're trying to manifest. So I feel like there is a manifestation of something here that you're chasing or attaining or wanting, and the door is open. Okay, but I see here with this purple is you sort of doing spiritual spirals. Okay, and I know ascension, like I always say, ascension is in a spiral, because it's what's sort of kicking out, and so we're making progress, even though we sometimes feel like we're going backwards. But I feel like in this case, I feel like we're sort of lost in the spiritual realm of the imagination, or the spiritual conceptual sort of thing that we understand it to be. And spirit wants you to more flow, because the door is open to lead you towards that miracle that you want, because it's there already. And the reason we're not aligned there yet, and it's slow, it's taking longer, we're slowing down, is solely because of you. Okay, but again, with grace, it's not the you here that is the being of awareness. It's the you here that's still trapped in the egoic self. The you here that still has some identification with the you that you think you are. Okay, but the you that you truly are isn't all of these things that are projecting and that carry any sort of understanding. You are just you, unattached by anything here. Okay, so I feel like with this rite of passage, with this doorway open, I feel like Spirit is really showing the doorway is open. And the only reason we're on this journey potentially longer than need to be here is because we're still not allowing the other shoe to drop here. And so if it is taking practice, you know, then allow it to the space to have the practice with the showing of the grace. But it's really a matter of us understanding this concept for us to be walking through this door, that it doesn't need to be this many meditation sessions or this many years of chanting or this many understandings of spiritual knowledge that will get me towards that door, because that's a linear model. Okay, a linear understanding, and there's nothing linear about this. This is either you're aware or you're not aware. Okay, and so what we're becoming aware of is our projection. What we're becoming aware of is how we engage in the everyday sort of catalysts that are going on. What sort of weight am I attributing to this person, this thing, this object? Or am I coming completely unbiased with no story, no experience, no understanding of what this is showing me, so I can take the fruit of what it is that's being shown to me? Okay, because I feel like there is a fruit that is being shown to you that is waiting to sort of be engaged in that moment. Okay, so I feel like the joy is there for you to experience, and maybe we're still thinking we're on a road to find joy, or on a road to find enlightenment, or on a road to get somewhere here, and there is no getting there. You're already there. And so this I love my cat is like, it is in the nature, it is in that experience, it is in this time right here, right now, in that space that you're experiencing. And so you just need to connect to it. Okay, because if we don't connect to it, we keep thinking it's in that next thing or that next thing, and our mind tends to think it's going to be this linear path and we'll eventually get there, and we're never going to get there. Okay, I use that loosely, never. I mean, we could have all of a sudden some insight, some spark of insight, but that's not what this path is. It's the universe putting in front of you all of these opportunities, these catalysts that I feel we've missed because we're still sort of carrying some part of program. And so we could still be awake to consciousness here, okay, because everyone has a level of consciousness, but how high of a level of consciousness do we have? How much space in that consciousness are we holding, you know, to really see the truth of that situation, the reality of that situation that's going on? I shouldn't use quotes, but is it our reality, or is it the reality of the situation in which I'm experiencing right here, right now? And so I feel like the reality you're experiencing is when you're projecting here, okay? And so Spirit wants you to remain grounded by engaging with the 3D, okay? But we need to understand when our experience of identifying with body, or identifying with cat, or identifying with tree, or identifying with man, or identifying with plant, or whatever the thing is, when that sort of starts to come online, we identify that, we can observe it, okay? We don't need to suppress it, but we observe, look, I'm in that of which is projecting onto apple, projecting onto cutting tomato. I am in that mode again, and I'm in that mode again, I'm in that mode again. And then slowly, as this observation happens, it slowly starts to fall away, because we're no longer suppressing that, and we're observing that program for what it is. And so this is what frees us from suffering. This is what allows us to observe when we are in pursuit of something that's imaginary here, rather than engaging in the reality as it is and falling in love with the reality. Then the major shift happens in the transformation on self. Then the blocks are released here, and then the programming is identified for what it is. Okay, so I feel like Spirit wants you to know that there is a time for meditation and quiet time. to allow yourself to have grace, to allow yourselves as many times as it takes. So this isn't telling you, why are you still, in the first stage of the spiritual awakening or what have you, that that's something you've done wrong or that you need to do differently in a way of practice. But Spirit is saying there is a perception or an understanding we have of what spiritual journey or enlightenment is that is keeping you in a perpetual practice or keeping you in a perpetual childhood of spirituality. That doesn't need to perpetuate here, that you could flourish, and it's asking you and requiring you to be grounded and connect to the higher realms of spirituality in a balanced way. Okay, so when we meditate and we're connected with the divine, we connect. When we see synchronicities in dreams, we connect. And then when we're cutting tomatoes, we're cutting tomatoes. When we're at work, and we're engaged with the person, place, thing, because that person, place, thing, petting the cat, walking the dog, talking to the clerk, is what's going to be showing you something here that needs to be seen differently. That's going to unplug some sort of spiritual blocking that is not allowing you to walk through that door of the miracle that's there already. The miracle is here. Okay, but we need to be in line and working with the universe here. And so the little I has been rampant. Okay, where Spirit is saying there's no need for a rush or a linear understanding. There's just emerging ourselves when we need to in emotions and feels, and then allowing ourselves to get grounded when we need, and everything else sort of happens naturally, and these changes will happen, and this rite of passage is happening, unfolding in this way. Okay, but it's how we're sort of going about this that's really being brought to your attention. Okay, so beautiful pile number 1, this is your message. I hope this made sense for you. It's most likely not for everyone. It's a very high level of consciousness and understanding. So if this made sense to you, then certainly you're reading. If you connect with any other pile, then I hope there's messages in there for you as well. All right, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, gorgeous pile number 2. Oh my goodness, ancient sound frequencies, rebalance energy. And we got the scales, frequency and vibration. Card number 1. 1 is all about new beginnings, potential and opportunity. We also have the leaf, which is all about new beginnings. And when the leaf falls, it could be the death of something in order for there to be regrowth. So we could be in the process of either regrowing a new leaf or the transformation of shedding what doesn't serve. But either way, I feel like there is a need for balance here. And this card specifically could talk about the ancestral traumas and karmas and things here that are needing to be ironed out in some way. And so there's actions we could be engaged with that's living out the karmas, and so we don't know why we're attached, or we don't know why there is suffering, or we don't understand our actions so much as it's sort of just happening through us, because there is still this need for there to be the energy flushed out and balanced in a way that frees us. But I feel like for this group, there's a very tired energy here, very tired. Okay, and so we could be feeling very exhausted, having to go through a process, but keeping everything else sort of in balance. So what are we looking at, beautiful people? We're looking at a miracle, what's going on in your world, and whether we're aware of it or not, I don't know, but we're going to see what it is Spirit wants to communicate to you. Maybe a change in perspective. Maybe how can we work with this miracle that's unfolding in my world differently for me to be able to overcome or get through some of the challenge that maybe I'm struggling with here. So I feel like there is definitely things in this lifetime, okay, that are unfolding and happening, but I feel like there is some energy maybe we can't quite explain, and maybe you don't believe in past life, and that's fine. Although I feel like for maybe this collective I'm reading into, you definitely obviously trust in the tarot and the oracle and Spirit, and so there's this energy that you come into this world with that carries a lot of history, imbalances and karma. And so this lifetime, we're always working on ourselves in order to ascend and evolve, okay, however this looks like. And so sometimes the soul might go through certain things that for our conceptual mind might seem as though it's going backwards, but there is no such thing as backwards evolution. Okay, there is just us evolving. There's just us healing certain things, and the universe will put in front of us as many things as it needs to in order for us to experience what it needs to, in order for us to grow, for us to find balance here. So I feel like there's an opportunity for something new, but I feel as though maybe we're still in this energy of releasing, not knowing what's to come. And so it could be this very exhausting place. You know, if we had new energy, we could focus on the new. If we were solely just sort of fleshing something out, be focused on that. But I feel like there's this transition period that might be very confusing, and we're not quite sure how to maybe get balanced or what balance looks like here. We might be also experiencing, for some of you guys, a lot of unfair things, and maybe we're asking the question, like, what's right? You know, like, am I doing what's right for me? Am I acting in line with the most fair and just thing? And so we don't know. And so we could be sort of walking this energetic state of, you know, like am I supporting myself or the situation for the greatest good? Or how am I sort of engaged with what's going on here, and how much responsibility and action can I take in something like this? What position do I take with something like this? Do I release it? Do I lean into it? Or which part do I support? The growth or the release? Or what's going on here? I feel like that sort of thing is creating a lot of jumbled up energies that could be quite heavy to carry, you know, because it's not very clear, it's not balanced. So, beautiful souls, let's take a look. First, I want to tell you, you're not doing anything wrong at all. And when we see ancestral sound frequencies, there's a lot of energy we're carrying that comes from things that we have no idea. Okay, so you're not expected to know or understand certain things and concepts. Okay, because energy, it never dies, and it has always a way of balancing out. And so I feel like whatever's happening here, we need to understand that the universe has the wheel, no matter how much the egoic eye wants to think it's in control. Okay, because if it thinks it's in control, then it also carries the burden. It also carries the guilt. It also carries the feeling like if something didn't go wrong, then it carries that. And so once we know that the universe is really unfolding as it does, then we don't carry the heaviness of the guilt and the burdens of what it is that we shoulda, woulda, coulda done. Okay, so if you feel as though you're already in tune with your intuition, you could click straight away on the main reading. If you're trying to develop your intuition, okay, to see if this is your message, I do ask you sit through this card layout. And I'll ask Spirit was, what miracle is going on for pile 2 right here, right now? What do they need to know about this miracle that's going to help them align to this miracle? And I have not looked at these cards, okay? So what you see, feel, or hear throughout the card layout will determine whether this messaging feels right for you and your situation. So we have the brown-throated sloth. Brown-throated sloth, okay? So longevity 35 years, gestation and hatching 190 days. This sloth spends most of its time hanging from a branch, its thick and straight fur covered with spots, and home to many types of algae, merges with the bark of the wood. It feeds almost exclusively on leaves, which it digests very slowly. It only goes down to the ground every 10 days to do its business. It's hanging on there. Okay, let's see. We have Denise's pygmy seahorse. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Longevity 3 years, gestation hatching 11 days. One of the smallest seahorses, this small tropical pony-like fish, is very vulnerable. It has no scales, no bone plates, no claws, and no venom to counter predators' attacks. To protect itself, it has found another trick. It mimics the Gorgonian coral it shelters in perfectly. Wow, so this is the coral, and there's the seahorse. So is it like a chameleon in some way? And it mimics the Gorgonian coral it shelters in. So it's in some sort of shelter. It's almost like it's trying to protect itself. Even the sloth, she's hanging on for dear life here. Okay, so hooded seal, also spotted here. 32 years longevity, gestation and hatching 240 days. This large, I don't know what's wrong with me, you guys. I'm in some other state of weird energy in my reading. The large coniferous carnivorous, my goodness, carnivorous mammal from the North Atlantic and Arctic oceans travel great distances in search of food and meets with its kind on the ice to reproduce. At the age of 4, a black bulb forms on its head. To intimidate its rivals during courtship displays, the male inflates this reddish hood, which can reach the size of a football. Look at that. Something about protection here. Even the eye of protection. Okay, and then we have from the edible wilderness leaf shapes, all these different leaves. Interesting that you guys got this leaf. So which one is closest to this leaf here? Oops, let's see, what shape do we see here? Looks like this aristate leaf. But leaves, like I said, could certainly symbolize shedding of the old, and there's so many different leaves here. Leaf arrangements, alternate, even, pinnate, opposite, and rosette. Different leaf shapes. So we have 7 hearts, which is 7 cups. So 7 cups could be that confusion where I was talking about, different choices and options. You need to maybe get more pointed here, not knowing. Okay, we have noise. And so it could be very busy here with, again, the frequency of energy we're sitting in. Very distorted or disturbed or very busy. Too many things. Trigger. Wow, okay. So trigger is certainly caused when we allow our emotion, body, to be pulled and react in certain ways based on the emotional response of a situation or circumstance. Okay? But we're never at the mercy of the situation or circumstance. It's always telling us to reflect back on what is triggering that emotional response. And it is never that situation or circumstance. There's also something deeper rooted that needs to be looked at or dealt with. So we have escape here. The boat helm going to this island to escape. Okay. And then we have the horned cactus with resourcefulness. 29, or the number 11. So 11 is all about divine inspiration. The synchronicities, the encouragement to keep going. And so this cactus is very thorny. Again, there's a need to maybe protect ourselves from our environment or something. Closing door, completion, number 5. So 5 is challenging. It's all about conflict and loss. This could be about change and rebuild, which could be quite challenging to go through. But closing the door is maybe, again, like the ending of something, the release of something, or the closure of something, the completion. And so when one door closes, another one opens. I feel like we're still maybe having a difficult time closing or completing something here. Okay, so nomo, change. Wow, so that is 5. These 2 fish intertwined. Okay, change. And we have inner voice. Wow, look at the dark here too. Dark could be talking about the shadow. The inner voice. Now, is this inner voice coming from the egoic self, or is this inner voice coming from the authentic self? The fact that we have the dark here, I would tend to believe this inner voice might be coming from the egoic self. And we might be attached or resonating with this voice as us. Okay, it's my inner voice. but we are not the ego. The ego is a function of the mind. It doesn't have an entity. It's existing only because we allow it to exist as an active thing. Okay, so inner voice, let's see. Here we have emerging. Okay, so what is emerging here? This is more colorful. Is the authentic self emerging? What is emerging? Something's definitely changing here. And we have transition. Yes, that's what we were feeling here, was something's falling away, but there was also a new beginning. So this awkward period of transition might require us to close a door so we can open something new or rebuild something in some way here. But change is all about this transition here. Okay, and then we have this yellow rose, and it says Rosa sulfurea. Sorry, it's difficult to see these cards. Enthusiasm and friendship. A single rose can be my garden. A single friend, my world. Wow. Okay. Now the yellow talks about the solar plexus. So roses could talk about love. And sometimes if we see roses with thorns, it could be a challenge. Okay, challenge, and maybe a romantic relationship, or maybe something about our willpower coming through with the yellow here. Okay, but yellow roses symbolize friendship, which it's talking about here. Are we learning to befriend ourselves, maybe? Let's see. Diana, focused intention. Keep your unwavering thoughts, feelings, and actions focused on your target, and you will make your mark. So we were talking about maybe feeling the Seven of Cups energy, and certainly the answer to a Seven Cups sort of feeling is to focus our intention. Get more pointed and clear. It's okay to feel what you need to feel. Yes. So we need to be our friend and allow ourselves to feel without carrying any guilt. Okay, and then we have fierce serenity with the number 8. Look at that. So we see the lion, which is Leo energy, and that's just tying back to the solar plexus, confidence. Okay, but 8 is all about us having movement, okay, because 8 is about movement, change, attainment. It's facing the courage to do certain things we need to do, knowing when to move forward, when to be held back. So there might be trepidation here on something. Okay, so we have time to decide. Make a decision based on your heart's true desires. So there again with the 7 cups. Time to decide. Wow. Okay, fire opal, sensuality and confidence. Well, we're feeling with the yellow, definitely this confidence. Sensuality ties back to the sacral chakra. So we have the lower chakras pulling through now, sacral and solar plexus. Fire opal. So I'm getting a lot of Aries, Leo, Sag energy, and Leo here, and certainly some Sagittarius with the archer here in this focused intention. Scorpio with all the shadow and the transformation. Okay, a little bit of earth too here with this cactus, but I'm feeling mostly more fire and the Scorpio energy. So we have white, source, divinity, and enlightenment. Wow, look at that. Very powerful. So we have the Fool. Again, new beginning. Okay, but the Fool takes a leap, allows itself to move forward. It is not held back. Doesn't allow its past to sort of dictate what its actions are. So Aquarius energy. And we have stress, number 7. So 2 7s now. 7 is about faith, wisdom, reflection, understanding. 7 is chariot, which is integration of shadow. Okay, it's about balance. It's about being able to move forward with success, working with the universe here. 7 is trusting the fall. Okay, that's a master number, 7 7. Trust the fall, an adventure that arises from deep within. Trust of life, trust of self. So it's balancing on a ball here. And the monkey could be symbolizing trickster energy, which could either be someone else or our own sort of shadow, maybe tricking us or tripping us up. Are we tricking ourselves? Are we thinking something's a trick? Are we not wanting to be tricked? So I'm getting magician energy, Virgo Gemini energy from this stress. So I definitely feel the stress is being caused by this need for a decision or to get trust the fall. Did we not just say this? Wow, 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 wow. I'm always so amazed by what pulls through here because I don't look at these cards here. So like we said, 77 was really about trusting the fall and this Fool energy. She's just falling. Complete surrender. Trust. Okay. Okay, and we have schizophrenia with number 2. So this could be talking about the mind story. And look at these two sort of different dynamics potentially going on, and we're sort of trapped in the middle, which was definitely the energy I was getting from the release and the new. And so we could be very much in the middle, but this is the same body language as the falling. And so we're still hanging on to the new and the old at the same time, and the clouds are symbolizing the confusion here. So what, are we afraid to fall into the confusion and allow things to sort its way out? Schizophrenia, okay. Could be listening to voices here that don't exist really, because the ego doesn't exist outside of the life we give to it. And so we have standing firm. I am noble, brave, and strong. And so I'm seeing red flag. It could be your inner voices creating some sort of fear around something that maybe is new. And so we are cautious. Maybe we don't want to trust the fall because we see it as a red flag in some way. I am noble, brave, and strong. And here we have the tortoise. Will connect you to the love of Mother Earth. Wow. So tortoise energy. Well, turtles are all about protection, longevity. So you're definitely protected here. There's a very beautiful grounding energy here, very safe energy. Getting earth energy, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Okay, so what do we do here, Spirit? Don't know that you guys are going to be able to see all this because there were a lot of cards, but let's see what I can do here. Where should we put this? Okay. I don't want to cover that up. Okay. Let me sit here with this energy. You guys can click straight away on the channeled message. Okay. And see what we see. Okay, gorgeous angels. There's a miracle. Okay, and it's difficult for us to get to that miracle. And it's always difficult when there's something that we are unfamiliar with to embrace it or allow it to sort of take us over. So I can see why you're in this trepidation. Okay, I feel like there is a new blessing or opportunity here. And I feel as it is available to you for sure. But I feel like we need to deal with something here that is very real to you in this moment, that's creating all sorts of angst and challenge. Okay, and so once we understand or are aware of this thing, then we can allow ourselves to sort of transition and move to the next stage. So this is one, totally okay that you feel however you feel. Okay, however you feel, you're allowed to feel this way. So now if it takes us a day, 3 hours, 1 minute, however long it takes us to truly feel and believe that we are allowed to feel what we feel. It is justified, okay? Because we might be stuck there. And as long as we're stuck there carrying that, we can't allow the transition to happen. Because the ego, the false self, the inner voice will constantly want you to work on that piece, okay, of however you're feeling. I feel bad, I feel guilty, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel confident enough, I don't feel capable enough. And so once you find a way within you to shut that piece of that ego off and prove to yourself, you know what, I am capable, or you know what, I could make this happen, the ego transforms and morphs into something else. And then it gives you another sort of story here. It starts saying, well, not only are you not confident, but I'm going to add to it another thing that you're going to believe. And so you have to work towards shutting that piece of that story. And it will forever keep you in the perpetual state of feeling guilt, feeling shame, feeling not good enough, feeling whatever the feeling is. Okay, so first of all, we know the feeling is there. Okay, but that feeling that you're allowed to feel is reflecting back to you a thought that you have in your mind that is coming from an illusion. And that is the story that I'm not good enough, or the story that I'm not ready, or the story, whatever that story is. And so if we don't believe yet that we're not good enough, or that we're this, that, or the other, we will constantly be in the trap of the feelings. And so there's a lot of noise, confusion, triggers here, self-induced. Okay, so what happens in your world is never a reflection of the intense feelings that you're having within you. The intense feelings are coming up because there is a part of you within the shadow self that needs to be looked at and say, why is it that this situation that's going on in front of me has this much pull, this much ability to trigger me? Because there's something here I'm needing to look at and deal with. Okay, and so that part of you that you need to look at and deal with is an illusion that we still believe, that we haven't resolved. And I feel like it could be from, past lives. So when we say we're not good enough, you might think, well, I've never had reason to not feel good enough. Why would I buy into that or have a strong belief of this? Well, because maybe in the past life, it was something we were needing to resolve and in this lifetime, to overcome in this lifetime. And so all our awareness does now is identify that illusion of self-speak. Every time it comes up in the fear or in that feeling, I'm not good enough. Okay, I've identified it's here, but I'm not letting it restrict me. I'm not going back into my cave, or I'm not hanging on for dear life, or fearing coming out, because I feel like you're reacting to your life situation or your circumstance right now in front of you in a way here that isn't aligned with your authentic self. And so there is a decision for you to take. Okay, and I feel like there's the old self that is very uncomfortable. Okay, and it's uncomfortable because I feel like it's stuck in the need to transition, because the old self now is the comfortable self that it no longer serves you. The transition's uncomfortable because we're still trying to attach to the old self, but the new self, or the new opportunity, or the new experience seems very scary and fearful, because we need to overcome this ancestral trauma, hiccup, wound, something in the shadow here. And so we don't need to go back to investigate back in 1806. I was, Sigmund, whatever, Tutu, whatever entity, who, lost his confidence in war. None of that stuff. We don't need to do, past life regression. If you want, you can. We don't need to go back to, 1986 when my mother, looked at my report card and made me feel bad. We don't have to, although we can. And so if we go through whatever, therapy, whatever we need to do, that's absolutely fine. But what I feel is happening here is not going to be resolved by connecting to the experience itself. Okay, but it really, how this could be resolved is identifying in the present moment when the trigger arises, is to identify, how do we respond and react? Do we react in the same way to pull away or feel defensive or not lean into the courage to say or do or take the leap and trust? Or do we identify the pattern of how we always engage with hanging on, clinging on, or feeling the fear of I may fail or whatever, you know. We might not see it as I'm going to fail, but we might be repeating in an action that supports I won't try the new thing, or I won't say that because I don't want to be judged, or I don't want to fail, or I don't want to experience something here that I'm avoiding. Okay, so I feel like we're avoiding something by remaining in a way that maybe we've done for quite some time. And now it's becoming very uncomfortable for us because I feel like Spirit is really seeing this new experience opportunity for us to engage in it, but it would require us to trust the fall and this transition of really healing this part of self that's hanging on to an illusion. Okay, the illusion that thinks it's not complete, or the illusion that thinks it can't, or the illusion that thinks it needs to hang on to the past or be a part of the past. It's all an illusion that we're keeping alive. Okay, and I do feel it ties back to your confidence, and I do feel like it's Spirit's really asking you to be the one here, the friend that guides you through this, the one that allows you to have the confidence, because no one is going to come and, if they do this, okay, they could come and pat you on the back and say, you're capable of this, go and do it. But that won't get you to act. Okay, no matter how many people you admire come to you and say, I'm your friend, I trust in you, I believe in you, you're going to do this, or it's safe, and they pat you on the back, they make the place safe for you to be self or express yourself sexually or confidently in some way, you still won't do it. It still doesn't feel like the right environment or the right time or the right people, no matter who's there or what's happening. It won't, because we need to shine the light of awareness, and only our friend can do that. And the friend is within you, the friend that understands and trusts that you are capable, that you are this confident being, but you have to believe it and inner feel it. So how do we connect to this? The only way we connect to this is by casting the light on the illusion every time it shows up. Oh, there goes my false self, or the self that thinks it's me. Okay, the ego self, the identity I created within me that says it's not good enough right now, and so it shies away, or it doesn't send that email, or it doesn't respond, or it sneaks away, you know, without being seen. It shies away, clinging on to the old self. And so now my friend, which is my authentic me, the one that wants to see me succeed, the one that understands there's a beautiful blessing and miracle in front of me, it wants to take aim. Okay, but it can't take aim until it works with the false self. It respects that the false self has a fear. It respects that the false self has an understanding that's not true. And the more it sees it as a friend, it doesn't say go away, you know, because a friend wouldn't do that. A friend wouldn't say, go away, you're not helping, you're not building my confidence, you know, or just sort of do things anyway to sort of shut it up, you know, because that friend won't feel welcome. It won't feel like you're truly seeing it. A real friend will say, I see that you have a fear, or that you are having trepidation about this, or that your belief in something here is very strong, and so you identify with you not being good enough or capable or timid or whatever, or you have this anxiety about being seen or allowing yourself to trust in this moment. I see you, and I understand conceptually at first that it is false, because you are a beautiful child of God. In true divinity, you are a part of Source. And so for me to see this beyond the illusion, I will allow you to feel what you feel right now. I won't stuff it down. I won't tell you you're wrong, but I'm going to observe every time you sort of miss out or respond in the same way. And then gradually, the friend will trust the other friend. Okay, so now there's two selves. There's the self of the trauma, the self that protects, the self that doesn't want to come down to eat, the self that hides away, the self that is posturing or doing what it needs to do in order to be accepted, or what it thinks it needs to do to be protected, that sees things as red flags no matter what. And so this friend, we give it space and time, we welcome it, you know, and so we allow, and it might be difficult, because I feel like this friend is hurt, and this friend has beliefs that might be very prickly. But I feel like this is the shadow self. And so we identify it as it's prickly and it's hurt, but it's nonetheless a part of me. And so my truest divinity can emerge. And so now I'm allowed to work in present moment with this trust in self, the truest self that emerges, and that it's not going to be the hurt self that's going to react and pull away or respond or get triggered in the moment or escape when it should be leaning into it. It doesn't run or fear or create all sorts of mind stories that taint this experience, because every single experience in the right here, right now will present an opportunity for either the false self to respond, which is the triggered self, the hurt self, or the authentic child, the divine being, to respond, which is going to respond right here, right now. And so maybe my confidence isn't big enough for me to trust the authentic self to respond right here, right now, because I'm too afraid. And so I observe when the triggered self wants to react. And so maybe I allow it the space to react. I don't beat it up. I don't sort of judge it. But I start to see through the what I thought was a red flag. And I start to see my divine being behind that. That's bigger than that experience, because the truth does come through and the illusion starts to fade away and the prickliness will start to dissipate. And I start to close the door on the trauma itself, because I've seen it in action. I saw how it responds out of trigger and response. I saw when it sort of tries to escape and pretend it's not there out of a reflex to keep it alive, because the ego wants to be kept alive. The false self wants to be kept alive. The trigger is in the shadow. It runs in the shadow as a fragmented piece. Okay, and so once we shine the light of awareness on this trauma itself, the truest being emerges, the divine being emerges, and the divine being only wants reality and truth. The divine being doesn't want to engage with illusions and triggers and traumas and escapes, and so as we transition, it's a period of time that we allow, but it's us being our truest friend, because only we, with the authentic divine self, can support the traumatized being to go through this transition without rushing, without judging. And so the change happens here. And so I feel like there is a change here, in a situation here that's allowing you the space. And it could be with someone, or just when we are in relationship, engaging with other people, or in a specific relationship here. It could be a friendship, could be a partnership. Okay, but it could be in regards to sexuality, or our most authentic, honest self in exposing or allowing us to be seen. Because I feel like we might get tricked, but I feel like the big trick here is us playing it on ourselves, is the ego trying to trip us up. But that is caused from the trauma and the pain or the experience that's blocked, and we don't need to uncover what it was or how it happened. We just need to see it in action. And when we see it in action, we know that we are, the monkey holding the needle. And so if we control the monkey holding the needle, we can put this needle down. We don't need to be in the needle state. We don't need to be in the prickly state. We don't need to be reflective and triggered and all sorts of traumas and responding in that way. The only way we need to do this is when we don't think we're in control. We don't think we're the monkey, and we think it's happening to us, or it's an external thing that's happening. No, we are the monkey, we are the needle, and we are everything that's happening right now. And so when we know this, we say, I could, as this monkey, put this needle down, but maybe we need to see ourselves as the monkey acting in the way that it does. But we need to be very aware that we're the monkey, or we're the one with the needle, or we're the ones creating the noise. We're the ones getting triggered. We're the ones responding, either through escape or through trigger or whatever we're doing. Okay, but I feel like there is a decision here. And the decision here, I feel, would require you to deal with this so that you can comfortably lean into what I feel is a comfortable choice for you. I feel there is no question here. The only reason why there's a lot of hesitancy or confusion or noise around this is because I think we need to shed the thing that keeps morphing. And so, like we were feeling with these leaves on the card layout, like, look at all these leaves. And this talks back about what I was saying, when the ego self makes the excuse I'm not confident enough because I didn't go to school. And then you go to school, and then the ego comes through and says, well, maybe you're not confident because you might have schooling, but you don't have experience. And so then there's the other leaf you need to shed. And then the ego comes and says, well, yeah, maybe you have experience, but you're not as experienced as the other 3 people who run that business, so you need more years of experience. And then you do that, and then the ego comes through and says, yeah, well, you don't fully own your business outright or have this many employees under you, and on 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 and on. It will not end, because the trauma self needs to accept that all of these leaves can come in many different forms, but is the inner voice from the shadow that's going to continuously get triggered that needs to be released in order for the new to be embraced, and trust the fall and detach completely from that identification or that story that's creating pain for you, because it is not true. But we can't say, oh, just don't feel it, or don't allow you to feel how you feel. You feel how you feel for a reason. Now we're looking at, why do we feel the way we feel, and what is my reaction here when I feel this way? Because I'm feeling this way because something's triggered me in this situation that's not about the circumstance, but is reflecting back to me a part of self that needs to be looked at. Okay, and so this part of self would require you to be, like I said, the inner friend. And so this focused intention of going to the new, because I feel like you want that, you want the new, you want the beauty of this miracle I feel here that is for you, and it's still here for you, but it can only really be integrated and embraced as this beautiful divine experience when the true self emerges. So don't force the change so much as observe the change, allow the change, don't resist the change, understand and be aware of the change, and be a friend of the change. Okay, because you're heavily protected here. And I feel like we're creating all sorts of undue stress, but we're the ones creating because we're the monkey with the needle. We might not realize, we might not realize how much power we actually have with our words and our thoughts. And when we get triggered, when we do something, we're the ones creating the trip up, and then we do something here that's like, oh, I pulled away, or I reacted the same way. And now I've created more trauma, more noise, more disharmony, more imbalance, more trigger. Now this person is more mad, or I'm more confused, or and we're in this repeat of tripping ourselves up. If I'm the monkey and I hold the needle, it is up to me how I'm going to engage right now. And so now I'm observing myself doing the thing that I always do, getting the results here that are creating disharmony. How does that make me feel when I know that this self isn't my truest self? Because conceptually, spiritually, I know I'm a divine being, and a divine being of God is pure. And the only time that there is triggers and traumas, it's coming from shadow and the lack of light and the lack of the divinity awareness within that shadow. And so when my true self emerges, that shadow no longer exists. Okay, shadow cannot exist in the light. Shadow cannot exist in the awareness of it. It's only when I'm in trigger mode and subconscious sort of programming am I not aware, And so I'm detached right now from the reality. So I think there's a checkout here. You're checking out when it comes to that part of it. And it's creating suffering for you, but you have more of I was going to say responsibility, but it really isn't. It's just, if you do not want to be in suffering, you can create your awareness on that part of the suffering, as a true friend will. Okay. And so I feel like through time, the confidence will stack up and build on it. And the illusion, as the illusion falls away, it no longer runs the show. No longer need to protect yourself or hide or feel like defensive or guarded. Okay, but it's easy for that ego to get in there all of a sudden, because that's what the ego does. It doesn't want to be put to bed. It doesn't want to be laid away. It thinks you're going to live without it, which is exactly what you're going to do. So it's going to kick up a storm. This is dangerous. This is scary. You're not good enough. You're not confident enough, or you're going to make a fool of yourself, or you can't choose this new thing. You're not prepared. It's not time. It's going to constantly tell you. That's the inner voice. So if you're already sort of graduating from understanding the illusion, you will hear that, and you'll do what intuitively feels right without any sort of reservation. because I feel like you already know what is right here. You know, the false self is trying to dictate, and all it's doing is creating pain and suffering here. Okay, and it's morphing, and it's all a mind speak here, and so we're sort of stuck in this no man's land. And so yes, we might fall through when we trust and we allow, and then we move to the new and sort of take that jump. We're gonna hit some ego again. Like I said, the ego then is going to create another story. We have to be very alert in seeing this ego for what it is. I'm only falling through these clouds that will pass. The ego is going to come through me like a story, telling me I'm not divine. Keep bringing up the old story again with a new twist. It has a new twist because it wants you to buy into it again. You know, it wants to be the monkey with the needle again. So no, I'm very aware, ego, you're coming through with another story. And so as I surrender and I trust my decision to fall, I'm not going to cling again. I'm not going to buy in the story again, because if this is really deep-rooted trauma, it's going to keep wanting you to, you know, see the illusion for real. And you're going to constantly want to go into the trigger. But no, when you're a divine being, there's no need to get triggered. Okay, when we're in beautiful energy here of the Creator, we know that nothing can pull at us and trigger us into action, or reaction, I should say. Okay, we are in control of our own reaction, and if it's aligned with what we want, then we know it's coming from heart space, and so we can make these decisions, not based on fears or anxieties or whatever, have second guess or need to show off or hide away or, you know, protect or any of that stuff. And so this will take time, or not, depending if you see through this illusion. But that's the transition, you know, the transition from allowing ourselves to detach and let go and step into the new. However long it takes is up to you, but I feel like this is the balance work. Okay, this is the balance work. So, beautiful pile number 2, long reading. I hope this helped you. I love you very much. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, beautiful, gorgeous angels. Pile number 3. You guys picked the fruits of life, spheres of knowledge, card number 14, and the charm of the angel and the dog. So we're going to get into this energy right away. What are we looking at? We're looking at a miracle in your world that's unfolding here. Okay, and so maybe we don't know how to engage or how to move through this point in time and realize or make the most of this miracle or this blessing that's going on in our world. So I ask Spirit to give us guidance in regards to this miracle unfolding in your world. So if you resonate with this pile, then you will be able to tap into what it is here that the Spirit's wanting to communicate to you, and only through your intuition will this feel right. Okay, don't force any of the messages to fit, but you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether that makes sense to you. You could do this throughout the card layout, okay, or you can click straight away to the channeling of this reading to get to your message. But let's tap into this initial energy here. So fruit of life, spheres of knowledge. This is pretty intense, because this is knowing that there's more to life here than just the 3D body. And I don't know where you're at in your spiritual understanding or knowledge, okay, but this is sort of like a leveling up here with the spheres of knowledge. And so you can even talk about bringing in like-minded people or circumstances based on your upgrade of understanding spiritually. Okay, so 14 is temperance. Temperance is all about balance, but I feel this is about healing and being spiritually guided. Okay, we have the angel as a charm, so there's something about you being heavily protected, guided, and spirit sort of being there to lead the way in some way. But fruit could certainly be talking about the manifestation in the practical real world. I say real world with parentheses, but you know, in the manifestation 3D world here of life. But it's through our sort of tapping into whatever frequency that we want to tap into that allows us to manifest the fruit here of what it is that we truly want. And so if we have some lower state vibration, maybe the fruit that we're seeing isn't in line with a greater, higher vibrational, you know, frequency. And so when we level up, we start to bring in better fruit, or fruit more aligned to reflect the truth of who we are. And this could be in way of people, in way of whatever is manifesting here, okay, for you. But I feel like there is heavy angelic presence with the temperance and the angel charm. And then we have this doggy, okay, and dogs always talk about the loyalty, friendship. So could we be talking about a specific group of people or a specific person that's loyal, okay, coming in here with this fruit of life being manifested here, you know, that's being divinely guided? Let's take a look. Okay, but I feel like there's a high level of consciousness here that we're tapping into, or a higher state of frequency energetically that it now allows us to align our manifestations with something here. This doggy has sort of a sad face. So I don't know, maybe we've experienced sadness, or maybe we're getting out of a low frequency of sadness into a higher state. Okay, so temperance is Sagittarius energy. Let's take a look. What do we have? So we have the black-footed cat. 12 years of longevity, and the gestation or hatching is 65 days. The smallest cat in Africa. Now we have a cat and dog. And cats and dogs could be the yin, the yang, you know, the masculine, feminine, if we're talking about the opposites in some way. The smallest cat in Africa. This cat gets its name from the color of its hairs that line the underside of its legs, protecting it from the hot desert floor. A shy creature, it hunts at night and takes refuge in abandoned burrows during the day. Its small size does not stop it from having a resilient personality. When it feels like someone bigger is attacking it, it defends itself fiercely. Wow. I feel like sharing a story. I don't know, maybe this is just overshare of this experience, but it came up when I was reading this. There was a cat that my neighbor had. It was a little black cat, and it was under the stairs, and every day, I think I was probably in grade 5, maybe not. No, I must have been older. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Maybe I was 12 or 13 or younger. I don't know. Anyway, I would go there because the cat had kittens. Okay, but I think it might have been pregnant when it was like hiding there, and it was just outside. And so I was so adamant on getting this cat because I loved cats and had cats and just wanted this cat. And so I'd go there, but it was like really like shoved under the crevice, and I would bring it like pieces of deli meat and like try to feed it, and it just wouldn't want to come out. And so one day I was so adamant to get this cat, and I'm putting my hand in there, and the cat totally attacked me, and I was so sad because I felt so betrayed by the cat. You know, the cat that, I don't know, like it felt like I was trying to get it for months, but it probably was only, I don't know, like a week of trying to lure it out. You know, I wanted to, I don't know, engage with the cat. I wanted to sort of make it my cat, you know, and I don't know, I kind of felt bad for it hiding under there, and it was like really wild. Okay, I don't know if it was the neighbor's cat or it just hid under there, but I'm sort of getting this energy of like it attacks, you know, and it was doing its thing, but it didn't know, you know, whether I was a child or a predator or whatever I was to it. It didn't matter what I did independent of the cat, it was still going to react in some way. And so I don't know, I feel like maybe you've been engaged with something here that's made you feel sad, you know, maybe someone's reacted in some way, you know, out of their own sort of need to protect, and maybe you did. I don't know, but I feel like maybe dogs and cats is kind of don't get along for some reason, you know, and it could solely be because if one party, just like the temperance, like I always say, there's two parts to the temperance. If one party is in one energy, it can't integrate into the other energy and create the harmony. Both have to sort of be the right ingredient in order to create the cake or to have the outcome. So if I'm flour and this is gasoline, I can't make cake. If I'm an egg and this is gasoline, I still can't make the cake, right? So it's like if I'm flour and the egg, okay, well, maybe now we can start to make the cake. I feel like maybe something's a gasoline here, you know? Maybe we're recognizing this. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. So plumbed basilisk. Oh, this is the Jesus card. Look at this. A beautiful emerald green. This lizard lives in the humid forests of Central America. When it feels threatened, cat, it does not hesitate to drop into the water from the treetops. It then stands up and runs on the water, using its hind legs to stay on the surface. This peculiarity earned it the nickname of Jesus Christ Lizard. I gotta tell you guys another story. This is never going through. You guys could just skip to the channeling, but last night I had a dream. I was clearing out bugs in the hot tub, some sort of tub pool, and but the bugs were still kind of alive, and there's only a few kind of on the side, and so I'm shooing it, and I realized, like, I can't kill these bugs. Okay, I can't kill these creatures of God. So I'm trying to shoo it, and it's still kind of alive, but I'm like splashing, and then this lizard comes, and I'm sort of like shooing it with the towel, and it sort of tries to turn around, and then it thinks that my towel is like food, and so it turns around and it starts coming closer towards me, and I'm getting freaked out, and I start backing into a corner, and this lizard's coming closer and closer, and it was very iridescent and very beautiful, except it was reacting. It thought I was food. I knew it, and I was like, I can't kill it. And so I was in this fight or flight mode, and then I ended up waking up, but that was last night. And so very interesting about this sort of reactionary animal instinct here, of things sort of just responding. So we have the Norway lemming. It says, this small rodent from the Scandinavian tundra lives in colonies, forming vast networks of tunnels. The female is very fertile. From the age of 3 weeks, she can give birth to a litter of between 5 and 8 young a month, greatly increasing their numbers, much to the delight of its predators. When the numbers become too large, lemmings undertake long migrations. Well, the cat I was telling you guys about was pregnant. Had little kittens. So pregnancy could be about maybe giving birth to something, or like a period of gestation. Okay, so we have 7 clubs. This is 7 wands. This is also a defensive sort of energy here. This is from the edible wilderness food sources, edible plants, wild dock, and sheep sorrel. So it's talking about eating these edible plants, what's edible and what's not. 7 wands. What are we fighting for here? Who are we fighting against? So we have the harvest. Interesting, because we talked about the fruit. Okay, and then we have patience. Patience. So here we're fishing and waiting for the fruit, or for the thing. Okay, winter's dream, gestation period. Did I not just say gestation here with the pregnancy? Wow. Okay, winter's dream. So something frozen. But the dream is something sort of magical and mystical, and it could be something we want. So something frozen that we want, or not coming what we want, the abundance, the fruit. And this is a gestation period, 63, or the number 9. And 9 is about fruition, something coming to fruition, completion, fulfillment. It's also hermit energy. So hermit's about the inner reflection. So Virgo energy, and then it's also moon energy. So the moon is feminine energy, which could be that feminine gestation period and birth to something. Wow. Okay. So the witch doctor with wisdom. So now we have more masculine energy. I feel with the wisdom could certainly be talking about the wisdom of the mind. All right. Let's keep going. Resistance. Okay. That could be the defensive energy we were feeling. And then risk. Okay. And then we have gratitude. Wow. Look at these 3 energies here. Yeah. Wow. It's kind of like morphing, if we're resisting to allowing something to sort of be here of acceptance, to show gratitude. Iris. Rainbows and messages. When it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Iris. Okay. Bridget, don't back down. Stand up for what you believe is right. This is the Seven of Wands energy. It's not always a defensive, but it stands its ground, fights for what it wants. Okay, raise your vibration is a mantra that calls me to light up. Perfect. And we have move beyond intention to belief. Number 5, and with the key here, key is all about solution. It's also wisdom. Move beyond intention to believe. So yes, getting beyond just believing, maybe even, and living in some sort of gratitude. Okay, and then we have sensitivity. You're becoming more sensitive and need to make changes accordingly. Crystals. Crystals could be a clear understanding here with the wisdom. So we have new waxing moon, conception, and we're feeling moon from the 63. Conception, inner self, which is also hermit energy, and expansion. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And we have travel, journey, path, and location. We have healing. Look at that. So we're covering the mind, we're covering the bottom chakras, and we're exposing the heart chakra. Healing, and then we have thunderbolt. Wow. So this is tower energy. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, tower, thunderbolt, and then we have mind. So we were feeling that from the wisdom. Here we're covering the mind. Okay, mind. And we have ordinariness, number 8. So this is in our everyday sort of practice. Chop wood, carry water. 8 is all about movement. Okay, we have travel here with journey, path, and location. 8 is also about change and attainment. So we had fruition, completion, fulfillment. So attainment now. Okay, and it's also star energy, which is healing and our wishes, our hopes. So we have communicating freely. I communicate from the depths of my being. Wow, that's intense. And finally, we have the deer will teach you gentleness. So we have a mother deer and a baby deer, a fawn. Okay, beautiful people, let me sit with this energy and I will tap into your channeling. You can click straight away on the channeled message. Okay, pile number 3. Beautiful. So I know early on we were feeling like some sort of level up here. I feel like the level up is going to be reflecting in your manifestations of your physical world. So although you could be very highly spiritual in your level of consciousness and awareness, I feel like whatever is happening in that spiritual realm is now allowing you to level up in your 3D world here. Okay, and I feel like for a lot of you guys, it's with a situation here that I don't think has been very pleasant for you, because maybe somebody's been very defensive or guarded or protective of their energy. Okay, and it could be you. I don't know. You can flip it around however you want to flip it around, but I feel like there's a dynamic here, okay, that hasn't been going very great, because I feel like there's been a lot of resistance. We've needed a lot of patience, okay, and so I feel like there is a shift here. And the shift here is happening in higher levels of consciousness of your understanding, in order for there to be a manifestation here of a shift, for things to become manifested okay, in way of fruit, like I was saying, so we can touch, see, and feel this abundance and this manifestation. Okay, I feel like there's been a long gestation period of whatever this thing is. I feel like it is a dream of something here. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you've been trying to create this manifestation, whatever it might be, the business, the relationship, the creation. Okay, but it's been very, very stuck with the winter's dream. Nothing really showing. Has been just sort of stagnant here. And I feel like there is this miracle, okay, because we got this Jesus Christ lizard, and I feel like the miracle here is happening from above in a way that's the understanding and the aligning of energy, the aligning of frequency, and our understanding of not being in resistance, our understanding of not giving out negative frequency, of not being defensive, of not wanting to, argue or not wanting to push up against something, is allowing us to lean into whatever risk might be. And I say risk because I feel like only the egoic self sees risk in being loving. Only the egoic self would see risk in showing gratitude. Only the egoic self would see risk in doing something here which feels natural and nice if the environment here is telling us a different thing. So let's say we're dealing with somebody here who is very defensive or guarded, or a situation that seems very, I don't know, unstable or threatening in some way. If we resist against it, if we fight up against it, if we try to coerce it or force it, we get more of the same chaotic energy. And so the level up here is, I don't see this as a risk to allow myself to be in a true energy of gratitude, a true energy of heart space. This is the true healing that will allow this energy to shift and level up. So if I am playing cats and dogs with someone's made me very sad, maybe someone I've been loyal to, or this situation, I've been dedicated and committed and I haven't seen the fruit, I've manifested the thing, I could turn inwards and get resistant or show resistance, or I could create resistance in the situation by applying the opposite energy and create more of the same turmoil. Or I can use my spiritual wisdom and integrate, like I always say, the mind into the heart space. So now the wisdom through my experience, because I have experienced some sort of challenge here, I had to show patience. I had to allow the gestation period without, sabotaging or without creating any sort of negative energy, Okay, and so now we're leaning more into the gratitude. We're leaning more into love. We're leaning more into trust. And so what this does is allow the healing. And so this situation now, I'm gentle as a parent would be, and because I feel like there is a situation here that's emerging, okay, that's been in incubation period for some time, and it's manifesting as fruit, this harvest, okay, but it's still in this early stage. And so this early stage could be still quite defensive. And just like the story I used in the card layout of the cat ready to attack, if we try to force our will of what we think it needs to be or do, even if our intention here is out of the best place possible, it's still going to react the way it does, which could create harm. I'm using quotes, okay, because it's coming through very pointed, but it could create harm to you. So sadness, pain, or some sort of experience that's unpleasant to you. If we can't just allow to create space for the thing that just manifested here, the fruit, or that was in gestation and is now rearing its head, to give it space to sort of be, okay, because I feel like we could become very sensitive when we start to identify that this thing or this person or this circumstance is acting or doing what it's doing here, and then make it about self. Okay, like I was really giving that story about the cat, because my dream or my vision was to hold that cat or make that cat my own, but maybe over time, had I been feeding that cat, it would have maybe been more domesticated or would have trusted me, but I couldn't force my will to make it come out. And you know, and little did I know it had babies. So it was even more sort of trying to protect itself. So Spirit is saying you're in a position here of the higher ground. Okay, maybe you're more ascended spiritually, or maybe you have ascended wisdom here in this situation. You've definitely carried this throughout a period of time here for some time. So I feel you're emotionally invested and intellectually invested and, you know, time invested in this thing. Okay, and so Spirit is saying, allow yourself to lean into the gratitude and the love here, and not to risk going back into engaging in the lower levels of consciousness by showing resistance or fighting or butting up against something here. And so we might get more sensitive because now we see this manifestation rearing its head. So now we're like, ooh, the cat is coming out of the stairs. So it means it's ready, you know, or it means I can now do whatever it was that I had intended on doing here. But no, the cat's gonna, you know, react even more violently potentially. And so there's still a level of sensitivity here in order for the right temperature for this thing to sort of emerge naturally, you know, with our wisdom, with our patience, with our love, with our kindness. And so I feel like this is what creates the space here for there to be this growth, okay, and this movement. And it's like we need to allow it to be sort of its own thing here while we are in this energy of the heart space. And so I feel like the only time we can trip ourselves up is if we get stuck in the mind story, you know, and the mind story happens to all of us because it is the thing that we tell ourselves and we start to believe. And then we start to think, ooh, there's a way I could miss out, or I talk myself into the risk in my energy being nothing but love and gratitude. You know, maybe we say, I don't want to be taken advantage of in this situation, so I'm going to resist it, or I'm going to be aggressive, or I'm going to block it, or I'm going to avoid it, or I'm going to respond in a more lower vibrational way. But that's coming from the mind story here, you know, and so Spirit's wanting you to move beyond this sort of mind story and keep leaning into the gratitude and the love, because this is what's going to take you towards the manifestation and the abundance here. And so I feel like there is a massive shift here in your situation. You know, what wasn't working is now manifesting or showing up, or what wasn't on the hook is now pulling on the hook, or what wasn't is now sort of appearing. Okay, but I feel like there's a need for us to sort of allow a natural process to happen here, because it's still happening. Okay, it's still happening, even though maybe we see it now, so it becomes a reality. So we might start to want to engage differently here. But I feel like there's a need for you to continue sort of doing what you've normally done here, because obviously you're doing something right here in order for this thing to manifest. Okay, but don't focus all your energy on something here that maybe, you know, starts to convince you about a different sort of narration than what it is that's about to unfold. But there's a need to allow yourself to be authentic to how you feel. And I feel like maybe there's some hesitation or fear in the risk we might take, because I feel like maybe this would require us blindly trusting, or blindly sort of moving beyond where we've been sitting for some time, which would require us to level up yet again, you know. But we're guided in this, and so this guidance is to level yourself up to where you're in line with the vibration of love and gratitude, highest vibration here, constantly. And so we need to check, you know, we need to check, am I dropping below a vibration of gratitude? And now I'm in the mind. What am I outputting here into the situation or into this experience? Or even just in my everyday, because, you know, maybe you're engaged with other things in your world, but being very mindful, like, of what is your mind story telling you? Are you going back down to the lower vibration? Or are you catching yourself while you're, I don't know, like, you know, outside cutting the grass, you know, still filled with gratitude and love? But your everyday sort of action here, what's it filled with, you know? Because if it's filled with resentment, anxiety, and defensive,ness, or trying to, I don't know, like talk yourself into something being too risky or to resist or fight something. And then you start to drop in vibration. And so I feel like Spirit's really showing here that you are set up here to win. Okay, stand up for what you believe is right. So if you're needing to be authentic and not allow whatever situation or circumstance to overstep its boundaries, because it could be very triggering here if we have, a cat that's out of control, we have to put our healthy boundary up. But the healthy boundary here is it in line with the gratitude and the love? Because that's where the true healing is happening here. So I move beyond anything here that might be lowering my vibration, and is there more reaction or through my sensitive experience here. Okay, so I feel like even though we might be experiencing a challenge, we're seeing the love in every moment. Okay, when it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. So we're always looking for the magic in that moment, but I feel it's the beauty in the situation here, which always contains love, even when there is darkness, even when there is, let's say, unruly behaviors, even when there is something happening here that might be triggering in some way. We can see clearly the reality of the situation, which is there is something to be grateful here. There is love to be sort of, responded to here. What am I responding to? And so pay no mind to the mind story that might be trying to create some level of panic. Okay. Or is it, are we sort of reacting based on a block or trigger of the lower chakras, an impulse, or are we totally solely aligned and heart-centered with how I'm responding right here? Is it feel in line with my authenticity? And is it out of truth and gratitude that I'm feeling? So we need to have this greater level of a greater level of, awareness of what we're perceiving. Because I feel like we're perceiving something here, and we could slowly fall into the lower self-perception of a situation. And so when we give birth to whatever it is we're giving birth to, we're creating that safe place for that thing to emerge in its truest form. Okay, because I feel like you have a lot of control here in regards to your experience of this thing, because it's going to manifest in some way here. But I feel like we could delay the manifestation. We could get in the way of the manifestation. We create blocks in the manifestation. We can create all sorts of stories. Okay, and so if we want this to smooth its way through here and move towards where it's supposed to, this experience, okay, you're being guided towards this. But the guidance here is always align yourself with the love and the gratitude and the highest vibration you can, to be loyal to what is true from communicating the truth. Okay, but also loyal to the situation in a way here that doesn't sabotage or all of a sudden trick yourself into a story of the past. Okay, so we need to keep our vibration in levels that we've already entertained at one point, because I feel like you're already connected to what does love feel like, what does gratitude feel like, what does a higher level of consciousness, how does a higher level of consciousness being engage? I feel we already know this, but now we need to sort of keep it in a balanced, consistent way without dropping back to lower levels of consciousness here, because something happened, and so if we're sensitive, someone is defensive, someone bites me, someone barks at me, someone responds in a certain way, and now I'm triggered, or now I'm in a lower level of consciousness. So it's like I'm very aware, of my energy as it's unfolding in my actions, and it keeps unfolding throughout my day. And so I have the power to say, what state of mind do I want to be in here? And it's really transcending the mind, because it's like, what state of consciousness do I want to be in here? Because when we're in the state of mind, it might feel more like a tricking ourselves, like I'm going to choose this state of mind, but then we're like pretending, like the other mind or the other emotion or the other thing, it doesn't exist. And Spirit is saying, rise above the mind to a state of being here, a state of being, love, gratitude. It transcends the mind. And so all the stories of the mind, whatever the mind's trying to tell you, why it's not right, or why it didn't work, or why this or that was threatening, or barked at you, or doesn't need this, that, or the other, we shed the illusion, the story, it falls apart. It has no more weight. And so we're no longer pulled by the emotion of the sensitivity here, okay? So we're sort of in line with reality, as it were, the higher levels of consciousness, but we are still aligned with our truth. Because I feel like if we go into the mind, understanding some sort of spiritual concept, saying, okay, mind is ego. So therefore I'll use my egoic self to turn on my other egoic self. I'm still in the ego. I'm still in mind. I'm still making up story, and I'm still feeling the emotion somewhere, but I'm suppressing it or not allowing it to flesh out. But when I allow the mind to fall away, and I'm on a higher level of consciousness, I'm coming from love and gratitude. I see through the mind story. I see through the illusion. It no longer becomes about what I think or my understanding or what I perceive when this thing, is acting out or is defensive or bites or barks. It doesn't matter, because my mind story, doesn't matter. This person or the situation is responding to its own karma. It's responding to its own state of being. And it doesn't impact me as much. Now, this doesn't mean let yourself get bitten or barked at, because we still need to communicate our truth. Okay, but this means I'm diffusing how it makes me feel. And so now, instead of being resistant or argumentative or butting up against it or creating obstacle, I now see, oh, poor cat. Poor cat just wants to defend its kittens, or poor being just wants to defend its illusion or its ego. And now I'm showing compassion. I'm showing love. I'm showing that I understand. And so I'm not going to get bitten, but I'm also not going to be threatened or put my hand in there to get bitten some more, because I understand it on a higher level of consciousness. And so I feel like it's really asking you to raise your vibration to a higher level of consciousness here in the situation you're involved with, because maybe someone is still in the ego or still reacting in a certain way here. And this is where this beautiful miracle happens. Because just like this lizard walks across the water, it's like now we see the transformation happen. Because I was able to raise my level of understanding and consciousness instead of butting up against it or being sensitive to it. I've now raised above this to understand it had nothing to do with me so much, that this thing is barking or not working or doing what it does. And now I sort of allow the situation to gracefully move along beautifully, so that the manifestation can happen in line, because I'm intelligent enough in my heart space and intelligent enough in my brain, which is my intellect, and I'm intelligent enough in my spirituality, and all this intelligence is based on my experience that I put together in order to respond to the situation however I need to. I'm not just using one part, the mind part, the intellect, to respond, because the intellect's going to trigger all sorts of reactions out of me that might get me the opposite. Okay, so I feel like Spirit is really saying, you're sort of guiding. Okay, now if you feel, because I know sometimes I get this, why do I gotta be the bigger person, or why do I gotta raise the level? So if that is your question, I don't think this is your pile. Okay, it could still be, but if you're not even considering raising your vibration so that an outcome can raise to, a person can raise to your level, then maybe we don't understand, how energy works, and maybe we don't want what it is that we want subconsciously here, because this is, how do I allow myself to engage in the highest level of energy, which is love and gratitude, in order to allow healing in a situation for it to evolve, however it does, however long it does, this person, this thing, with me showing patience and gratitude and love for it to come out of whatever state it's in. All I can do is be patient. All I can do is show love. All I can do is be of love and service. If I have any other intention other than this, then it's coming from mind. It's coming from some place within you that isn't love. Okay, because love has no desire here to do anything other than accept whatever state something is unfolding at, and make space and accept it and allow it to unfold in this gestation way. Okay, because the gestation period, I feel, has been a length of time that you've been sort of, I don't know, like taking care of whatever this thing is or waiting for it to emerge. But now it's like, okay, well, I have this child or this new thing here, but I still need to, align myself as the parent, or align myself in the role I have here. And the role you have here is to show love. The role you have here is to raise your level of consciousness, raise your level of vibration here in order for you to be sort of the role model here for the child. This mother isn't going to say, well, why do I got to be the bigger person now? And then the child's going to, because you're the one who wants the child to perform or to be the best version, or the business to flourish, or the relationship, or the whatever it is that you have here. Okay, you want the thing, whatever the thing is here. This is why. And so now we clearly see, this is how I manifest. I'm in tune with my vibration. I align myself with the highest state. Highest state is love and gratitude. It doesn't matter if this thing is being all unruly. I see this miracle happening before me. It doesn't matter if I'm, need to be more patient or whatever it is I need to do here, because the abundance here is forming. And my job here is just to support it. Okay, because I know that this manifestation is meant for me. So I'm not going to back down. I'm in a higher ground here, but we need to integrate this in our everyday sort of action. Okay, it has to be aligned with authenticity. We can't, start to act in a certain way that's outside of what we already understand here, because we're falling back into mind story. So we have to be very aware when we start engaging in lower states of consciousness here. Okay, because I feel like when we really, really tap into your energy here, the trueness of what you're feeling here, it is a high level of love. It is a high level of gratitude. It is a high level here of connecting with this thing. The only thing that can bring you down is other people, if you allow it to, because you start to talk to yourself in that way. So you're the one really doing it to self, not the other way around. If I keep putting my hand in the hole where that cat was, that was all defensive and crazy, after it scratched me, I could have said, oh, poor cat's trying to defend its litter, and keep my hand out of there. But if I keep putting my hand in there, I'm going to keep getting attacked. It doesn't matter. I'm still not going to get what I want. Or I could wait for the cat to sort of come out once it goes through whatever it goes through without getting my handle scratched up. Okay, so this is the cat's going to happen however it's happening. You don't need to get beat up and scratched or whatever. You could just observe this beautiful miracle, in a way here that is fulfilling and beautiful, rather than painful and torturous for you, because it could stall out, So the cat might, not trust me if I keep putting my hand in there. So instead of coming out, 2 weeks from that point, he might come out, months later, because it doesn't trust me. It thinks I'm a threat. Okay, but if I just sort of give it space, bring it food, allow it space, it comes out whatever this thing is. Okay, so I don't know, it sounds to me like you're dealing with someone, but you could apply this in context with your situation. Okay, so there's no need to force or resist or bring yourself into mind story. There's just acting from a place of support, dedication, and checking that our vibration is that of love and gratitude and higher levels of consciousness here, in order for something to manifest that is worthy of your support here. Okay, and I feel you will feel a lot of gratitude here for whatever this beautiful thing is, because I feel like you've been waiting for quite some time, and I feel like your heart's in a very good place. So let's not fall back asleep into the mind. Let's not fall back into the triggers of the ego. You hold the key here. Okay, so be very aware here, and this is like constant sort of mindfulness in everything you're doing. It doesn't have to be only in regards to this specific thing. It's like Where is my energy right now? Is it vibrating high? Am I showing love and gratitude for right here, right now? Because when I'm tuned into that frequency, more often than not, that's my vibration, which becomes my state of being. The manifestation now happens. I can't keep dipping to that, because now the universe doesn't know what it's going to manifest for you. Is it going to manifest more reasons to be defensive, or is it going to manifest this beautiful thing? All right. Beautiful people, I love you very much. I hope this resonated for you, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.